There's something strange about the internet, a place built on logic and code, yet it keeps birthing things that don't make sense, videos that vanish, photos that haunt, stories with no beginning and no ending. You've probably heard whispers about them. The cursed picture, the death video, don't stare too long, or sometimes it's a girl in a still image. Sometimes it's a video you can never find twice. Sometimes it's just a name. A name that shows up on forums, in blurry screenshots, in deleted threads. One of those names is Satan's Sphinx. No known source, no confirmed footage, just rumors. People say it was banned by the US government because of what it did to viewers. Some claim it's just an album cover. Others say it was used for psychological torture. But the strangest part? No one can agree on where it began. Not even the earliest internet detectives can trace it back to a single origin. Just fragments, a weird photo, strange ears. Honestly, I didn't want to look. But the moment I heard the name, I couldn't look away. The idea of a cursed video didn't begin with Satan's Sphinx. It's been floating around since the early days of the internet. Back when forums like 4chan's Xboard were filled with anonymous users sharing low-quality horror and banned videos that never seemed to stay online for long. No one really knows what Satan's Sphinx actually is, not for sure anyway. There's no official file, no confirmed upload, just fragments of a story that seems to live and breathe through internet whispers. Some claim it's a black and white video that shows a faceless, humanoid figure, crouched low to the ground, almost like it's mimicking a sphinx. Not quite human, not quite monster. It just sits there in total silence, in a position that makes your brain uncomfortable the longer you look at it. The background? Pure black. It could be a basement, an underground tunnel, a void. There's never a clear answer, and maybe that's the point. The setting isn't important. It's the stillness that creeps under your skin. The kind of stillness that feels intentional, like it's waiting for you, watching every single move. And just when your eyes start to adjust, there's a sound, a low hum, almost like a broken speaker vibrating against a wall. Then a high-pitched tone begins. Something sharp, painful, not loud, but constant. It's stuck itself into your head and doesn't leave, even after the video ends. What comes next isn't always the same in every retelling, but most people describe flashes, quick bursts of horrifying images, blood, shadowy shapes, surgical masks, screaming mouths, things too fast to fully register, yet somehow unforgettable. Your eyes can't focus, but your brain collects the fear anyway. It's like watching a nightmare in fast forward. You don't understand it, but you feel it. You feel wrong, unsettled. Some say they feel dizzy. Some get headaches. Some can't sleep for days. The video supposedly runs for 3 minutes and 49 seconds. A short span of time, really. But somehow it feels longer, like time stretches while you're watching it, like it doesn't want to let go. Most people, if you believe the legends, never make it to the end. The ones who do, they don't talk about it, or they disappear. And that's where the obsession begins. People try to find it again to prove it was real, but the deeper they go, the stranger things get. One particular image is always linked to Satan's Sphinx. Some believe the figure in Satan's Sphinx isn't entirely original, but a distorted echo of something ancient, something primal. They point to the mask. You know the one. The blurry screenshot people keep passing around, where a child is being held by two figures. One of them has long, horn-like ears. The other? A face that looks melted, almost goat-like. To some, it's just artistic horror. To others, it's a whisper of folklore. They say it resembles Krampus. That horned creature from Alpine legend who punishes children for misbehaving? But it's not the folklore Krampus you find in storybooks. This one is wrong, corrupted. The shape is off, the proportions uncanny, the vibe less fairy tale and more ritual mask carved in a place you were never meant to find. Some believe it isn't a coincidence. They think Satan's Sphinx taps into a mythological fear buried in our collective subconscious, that the mask wasn't made for the video. The video was made for the mask. That these strange, horned figures have appeared in cultures across centuries, always just at the edge of memory, always faceless, always watching. And here's the truly disturbing part. A few rare threads mention people having seen that same mask long before the video existed. In dreams, in childhood drawings they don't remember making. One post said they found an old family photo with someone in the background wearing a mask similar to the one in the screenshot. They burned it. They never talked about it again. I remember seeing that photo randomly one night while scrolling. At first I didn't think much of it, but something about it made my chest tighten. It's not gory, it's not explicit, but it made my entire body go cold. I clicked away fast. Then, I came back to it. I still don't know why. Maybe that's the curse. It's not that you see something horrific, it's that you see something you're not supposed to, and it won't stop staring back. The origin of Satan's Sphinx is even more confusing than the video itself. It doesn't have one of those creepypasta origin stories with a timestamp or a known author. Instead, it just appeared. The earliest confirmed mention seems to come from a Yahoo Answers thread in 2009. A user casually asks about that Satan's Sphinx video, and someone replies with a simple, bone-chilling warning. It's banned for a reason. Don't look into it. The Grifter is one of the most infamous cursed video myths online circulation around 2009. A disturbing clip said to cause hallucinations and even death. But over time, its legend bled into another name as Satan's Sphinx. Both are impossible to verify, wrapped in vague memories and blurry images. But unlike the Grifter's shock, Satan's Sphinx feels quieter, slower, meaner, less about gore, more about what it does to your mind. Some versions of the legend say the footage was originally filmed in the 1930s and consists of a disturbing montage of unsettling images and eerie, distorted sounds. At one point, the phrase, "Your race is the one that is dying," is said to appear on screen while a time-lapse shows a plant slowly decaying. Other scenes include close-up shots of corpses and people supposedly possessed by demons. Viewers described it as one of the most disturbing videos ever shared online. But no one could find the full version, only short, edited clips or recreations that never quite matched the descriptions. That's why many believe the Grifter is just a hoax, a digital ghost story that got out of control and turned into a creepy meme. Over time, the legend of the Grifter became tangled up with another name that started surfacing online, Satan's Sphinx. The two are often mentioned together, as if they belong to the same cursed category. Both videos are impossible to verify. Both are surrounded by conflicting accounts, vague memories, and a trail of fear. But while the Grifter is about horror that shocks you, Satan's Sphinx feels different. It's not just about disturbing images, it's about what the video does to your mind. As more people started digging, new stories emerged, or at least people claimed they were true. A few YouTubers, like Scare Theater, received anonymous messages from people who said they were connected to the video. One person claimed they had worked for the government and that the footage had been used to torture prisoners. Another claimed it was all just a prank, that they had created the video as a joke to scare a friend. But that friend ended up dying shortly after watching it. A third person insisted it was simply a fan-made edit using an album cover and some spooky effects. But then another user stepped in and challenged that explanation, pointing out that the image supposedly used for the video existed before the album was even released. That one detail flipped everything upside down. Suddenly, no one could agree on the timeline, or even on what the video really looked like. Every story contradicted the last. It became a game of digital rumors, where truth and fiction melted into each other. Maybe all it takes is a single name, a strange image, a half-deleted post in a forgotten forum. And just like that, the myth becomes real enough to haunt you. Another popular myth was the Sony picture, a photo of a Japanese schoolgirl that supposedly drives viewers to end their own lives. Turns out it was fake too, just an art piece based on a screenplay. And yet, people still believed it, still passed it around like it had power. I grew up hearing these stories, forums filled with people claiming to have seen things they wish they hadn't. Some laughed it off. Others disappeared from the thread after posting and never came back. So, what actually happens if you watch the video? That's where things get strange. Everyone who claims to have seen Satan's Sphinx describes it a little differently, but one thing is always the same. It's not just disturbing, it's deeply wrong. It affects people not just visually, but physically and mentally in ways they can't fully explain. The first thing viewers often report is a strange noise, a high-pitched tone that feels like it drills into your ears. It's not loud, but it's sharp, like a frequency designed to unsettle you. Beneath it, there's a low rumble or static humming, almost like your speakers are broken, or like someone's whispering right behind you, but refusing to speak clearly. The sound alone is enough to make people feel nauseous or anxious within seconds. Then come the visuals. People say the screen flashes rapidly, not with one image, but with hundreds. Bloody faces, masked figures, unsettling rituals, shadows that move without context. The flashes are so quick, it's impossible to tell what exactly you're seeing. But you feel it. You know it's not normal. You know your brain is picking up more than your eyes can handle. Some even say there are subliminal messages hidden between the frames. Quick phrases like "don't blink," or "this is your fault," or "he's coming." But no one can prove it. It all moves too fast. Then something worse happens. People report feeling dizzy. Their vision blurs. Their hands shake. But for some reason, they can't stop watching. The video doesn't beg for your attention. It commands it. You don't want to look away, even when your heart starts racing or your stomach turns. Some say it feels like time slows down. After the video ends, it doesn't feel over. Viewers report strange symptoms: sleeplessness, paranoia, even hallucinations. But the worst part? The obsession. The need to find it again, convinced what they saw wasn't the full thing. Some say that's why the US government banned it. And you know what really gets under my skin? It's not the theories, not even the contradictions in the timeline. It's the people. The ones who don't speak in riddles or scary edits, no proof. Just words that feel too raw to be dismissed as fiction. One guy said he found a video buried deep in a forgotten archive. Didn't even finish watching it, just a few seconds in before shutting it. But that night, he started hearing clicks from his ceiling fan, even though it wasn't on. Shadows started shifting in the corners of his room. He tried to record it all, but every file either vanished or came back as static. Then there was a girl who wrote about her roommate, how he became obsessed with Satan's Sphinx. He kept talking about a still frame that moved when no one was looking. One night, he just left, barefoot, phone still charging, never came back. Cops called it voluntary, but the laptop, still open. A paused video, black screen, something crouched in the middle. She swore it blinked. An art student once even tried to recreate the vibe of the video for a college project. Used his little brother for a scene. After editing, the kid stopped talking. For a week. Wouldn't eat. Wouldn't sleep. Wouldn't make eye contact. When asked what was wrong, he just said, "It smiled at me when you weren't looking." But the one that truly stayed with me came from someone who said they used to work as a systems analyst. Their team was cleaning up old darknet servers. They found a file named IST801. Just the thumbnail made someone throw up. They were told to wipe it instantly. That same person who got sick, quit their job, disappeared, cut off all contact. Weeks later, the only thing they ever sent back was a blank email. No subject, no signature, just one line. "It followed me." Maybe these are just stories. Maybe they're nothing more than role play wrapped in digital dust. But if even one of them is real, then Satan's Sphinx isn't just a cursed video. It's a secret we've already heard, without realizing it. There's also the idea that Satan's Sphinx was never meant to be seen by the public. That it was part of a psychological experiment to see how much fear the human mind could take without breaking. The flashing images, the unnatural sound frequencies, the subliminal text. They weren't just creepy design choices. They were crafted for impact. Others say it was a leaked training tool to test the psychological responses of military subjects. But whatever its purpose, one thing always comes back around. If you watched it, you were meant to. And that brings us to something far more chilling. But there's another theory. Forgotten government records and classified experiments. Something called IST801. Most people have never heard the name, and maybe that's on purpose. According to the few whispers still left online, IST801 wasn't a media file. It was a program. A psychological experiment reportedly run in the late 70s through the early 80s. Possibly connected to MK Ultra or one of its splinter groups. The goal? To understand how the brain reacts to subliminal suggestion, visual overload, and distorted audio frequencies. Basically, how much fear a human mind could take before it shattered. Some say Satan's Sphinx wasn't an accident. It was a test pattern. A prototype developed by IST801 to measure the effects of emotional and mental breakdown using controlled stimuli. Not a file that went viral, but a calculated creation. People claim the original video was screened for select groups, prisoners, test subjects, even volunteers, and that those who watched it suffered similar side effects. Some couldn't sleep for days. A few had to be institutionalized. And the creepiest part? Apparently there was no footage of the tests, no external documentation, just one internal report that allegedly described the video as lingering. Not disturbing, not violent, just lingering. Like it didn't end when it ended. Some versions of the story even suggest that after the program was terminated, a single copy of the video was leaked. Not by mistake, but intentionally. Like a seed, dropped into the early web. A ghost file looking for someone to open it again. Of course, no one can prove any of this. No government document called IST801 has ever been released. No source has come forward publicly. And yet, the name keeps popping up. In image board threads, in old blog comments, even in a few obscure declassified lists where the project number shows up without explanation. It could all be coincidence. A string of unrelated myths twisted together by bored minds and late-night scrolling. Or maybe not. Because if Satan's Sphinx really was part of something bigger, something manufactured, then the question changes. It's no longer, what happens if you watch the video? It's who wanted you to see it in the first place? And that idea that you didn't find the video, but that it found you, is what leaves people shaken. It's not just a cursed tape or a creepy photo anymore. It's something that knows who's looking, something that changes based on who's watching, something that might still be out there, waiting for the next person curious enough to dig too deep. Maybe that's why the video is so hard to prove, but I think that's what gives it so much power. The more you search, the more questions you have. The more you learn, the less you understand. It's like chasing something in the dark. Just when you think you found it, it disappears. You start wondering, what if the government did erase it? But what if the legend of Satan's Sphinx didn't actually begin online? There's a story buried deep in the internet, not on Reddit or YouTube, but in places most people wouldn't bother looking. In 1976, long before cursed videos became digital folklore, a woman was reported to have jumped from the top of a building. Her death made local news, but what really caught people's attention were the details her family gave afterward. They said she had been acting strange for weeks, nervous, distant, like something was pulling her attention somewhere else. She kept talking about a video, obsessively, rambling about things that didn't make sense, like shapes in the dark and a sound that doesn't end. And then, in the last few days before she died, she stopped speaking English entirely. It was as if she'd been consumed by something that didn't belong in this world, or in her head. That might have been the end of it, just another unexplained tragedy. But she wasn't alone. That same year, a man in another state was reported with almost identical symptoms. Friends described him as paranoid and obsessive. He kept scribbling down strange symbols, talking about a still frame that watches back. The overlap was eerie. Both of them obsessed over a video no one else could find. Both of them spiraled. Both of them vanished from the world in horrifying, irreversible ways. But the most disturbing part? The families of both individuals had spoken publicly. They gave interviews. Their stories made it into newspaper columns. And then, nothing, no follow-up, no later appearances, no public records. It was as if the moment they brought it into the light, they were erased. It almost doesn't feel like coincidence. Two people, same year, same unexplained descent, and the people closest to them, the only ones who could have helped us understand what really happened, gone without a trace. Most say it's just a creepy urban legend, that the story came from a parody page, or maybe it's just a fabrication designed to feed the myth. But if it is made up, why does it feel so specific? Maybe Satan's Sphinx didn't start online at all. Maybe it's older than pixels, older than tape, and only now are we beginning to give it a name. But in 1976, it might not have been the beginning. Some rumors take it back even further. There's this theory, buried in old forums and half-deleted research threads, that Satan's Sphinx didn't start as a video at all. That it began as something analog, something state-sanctioned. During the Cold War, governments around the world were experimenting with media in ways no one wanted to talk about. Not movies, not propaganda, but psychological triggers, signals hidden in static, visuals that weren't meant to be watched, but felt. Some digital critics claim the earliest fragments of Satan's Sphinx match with known Cold War number stations. You know, those creepy broadcasts that just repeat codes in robotic voices over a backdrop of eerie music or static. Except this one? It didn't read numbers. It whispered in broken Polish, in fragmented German, in a language no one could fully translate. It's like the deeper you listen, the less you understand, and the more it understands you. One anonymous user even claimed they stumbled on a corrupted reel in a Polish museum archive. Grainy film, black and white. A figure crouched low in the darkness, similar to the Sphinx frame that shows up online today. No record of the reel's origin, no catalog number. Just one thing scribbled on the edge of the canister in fading ink. For controlled testing only. Do not project. And somehow, Decades later, this same figure resurfaces. Not in a lab, not on a reel, but in blurry screenshots passed around like digital ghosts, like it had been waiting in the shadows all along. At some point, the story stops sounding like it's about a piece of media and starts feeling like it's about something else entirely. Something bigger, something absurd. Because if we really step back and look at it, nothing about Satan's Sphinx behaves like a normal lost video. But the descriptions vary, timelines collapse, and no one seems able to agree on what the footage actually contains. It's like trying to describe a nightmare to someone who's never slept. And maybe that's the point. Some people online, the ones who've spent years tracing the myth, believe that Satan's Sphinx isn't a video at all. They think it's a meme in the most literal, terrifying sense. A unit of thought. An idea with intent. Something that spreads through suggestion, not file size. Something that doesn't want to be seen. It wants to be known. It uses different faces, different file names, different voices. And each time someone becomes curious enough to chase it down, it adapts. That's why people feel like it's watching them. That's why the obsession never feels like your own. You don't find Satan's Sphinx. It finds you, and then it rewrites the world around you to make itself feel real. And maybe that's what makes it so dangerous. It's not a cursed tape like The Ring, where you can destroy the copy and escape the curse. It's not a digital virus. You can't delete it, because it's not in your hard drive. And isn't that what it always wanted? Some people say that's why the video is so hard to track down. It's not just hidden, it's shifting, changing itself with each generation, playing into whatever fear the viewer already carries. Loneliness, madness, guilt, loss. It shows you what you weren't supposed to see. And the second you try to tell someone else about it, the story changes. The footage warps. The timeline resets. But what if Satan's Sphinx isn't a video at all? Some people believe it's something deeper, not a piece of media, but a meme. Not in the funny internet sense, but in the truest, rawest way. A meme as Richard Dawkins originally defined it, a unit of culture, of thought, of transmission. An idea that lives, mutates, and spreads on its own, a virus of the mind. And that changes everything. Because if Satan's Sphinx is a meme, a cursed concept rather than a file, then it doesn't need a creator. Maybe that's all this ever was. You don't watch it, you think it. And the second that thought takes root, even just a whisper of it, it begins to twist and grow. Maybe that's why no two people see the same thing. Why every description of the video contradicts the next. Why it can never be verified. People online who've spent years following this trail say it explains everything. The changing screenshots, the inconsistent timelines, the hallucinations, the obsession. It's not a glitch, it's the point. It evolves inside you, feeding off attention, curiosity, and fear. Especially fear. Because it doesn't just want to be remembered, it wants to be believed in. And the scariest part? You don't need to see the video to be infected by it. Just reading about it might be enough, just knowing the name, just wondering if this theory is true. That's the moment it finds a home. Not on your screen, but somewhere much harder to erase. So maybe that's what this has been from the start. Not a lost video, not a ghost story, but a living idea. A haunting without a face. A curse without a spell. A name whispered into your timeline at the right moment. And once it's there, it doesn't need proof to ruin you. It just needs to be thought of. Perhaps that's what this really is. Not a cursed tape or a viral mystery, but a single word whispered into the dark. An echo that stays long after the sound is gone. You might not have seen the video. Maybe you never will. Not everyone who searches finds answers. Some just find the quiet space where something else is waiting. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Or I'm sorry. Let me know what you think. Is Satan's Sphinx real? Just a myth? Or something darker? Something older, waiting to be named again? Comment down below. Like this video if it haunted you in all the right ways. Subscribe for more such stories. I promise, some of them don't stare back. Until next time, sleep tight. Don't watch anything strange tonight, and remember, some things were never meant to be found.